Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with number 6 in the series Checkmate in 2 moves. I have another 3 positions for you, which are quite beautiful. I got a question if solving this type of mate in 2 problem helps in becoming a better chess player. The answer is not really. If you want to spend your time improving at chess, there's 4 areas you have to focus on, as I always say. You have to study tactics, study endgames, study the classics from the past and the present, and analyze your own games. I have series on all these 4 topics on the Chess to Progress channel. These Checkmate in 2 moves videos are really more about the artistic side of chess. The checkmates are quite beautiful, only a few pieces on the board, but still quite difficult to find a solution. But they are not really game-like positions. If you look at this example, which is the first problem I will present to you, you can see that white is so much material up, this would not really occur in a real game. Black would have already resigned by now. Having said that, there is some use in studying these positions, as it shows often how the pieces can work together, how they can coordinate, and that is quite nice sometimes. So there's some use of it, but apart from that, it's just enjoying the beauty of chess, and that's what we all want apart from improving. So let's get into this position. This was composed by the greatest chess problem composer of all time, Sam Loyd. It was published in 1859. It's white to play and checkmate the black king on the second move. White is a queen and a rook up. Black only has a bishop and a pawn for that. The black king has no squares to go to, but how can we checkmate the black king in 2 moves? We're always looking for the key move, and there's only one key move. There's only one move that white can play, and then there's checkmate on the second move after all black's replies. When I saw this problem first, I thought, well, maybe queen h4 is a solution. Looked quite good. It's check, and the black king hardly has any moves. If the king goes to g2, then we have rook g4 checkmate. Looks good. But after queen h4 check, the king can also go to g1. And that spoils it, because rook g4 check is not checkmate. The bishop can interpose. And after king g1, there is no other move that leads to checkmate. So my first idea, queen h4 check, is not the solution. Then I quickly looked at queen e3 check. Does that help? Well, it doesn't really. The king goes to g3, for example, and there's no checkmate on the next move, so it does not work either. If you really want to enjoy these positions, it's good to look for the solution yourself. Then you get a feel for how complicated it is and how difficult it is to find a solution. And if you want to do so, put the video on pause now, because I give the solution now. The solution here is rook e4 to e1. Very surprising. How can this be the solution? Just giving your rook away there. Well, if you take that rook, then king takes e1, then indeed we have checkmate on the spot with queen d2. Surprising checkmate. That bishop on f1 is taking the flight square away from the king. Very nice. And apart from that, we only have moves with the bishop, because the king has no safe squares apart from taking on e1, as we just saw. Well, if we play the bishop far away, bishop a6, then queen g1 is checkmate. Very nice checkmate, protecting the rook this way. And the only bishop move that stops queen g1 is bishop g2. But then we have another checkmate. Queen h4 is now checkmate, protecting the rook, and square g2 is not available for black's king. This is a beautiful checkmate. This really shows how queen and rook can coordinate, how they can work together. So back to rook e1. So we looked really at all moves. The nice thing here is that if black was allowed not to make a move, then there would be no checkmate. But that is against the rules of the game. Black has to play, and by doing so, he weakens his position. And after any move, taking the rook or playing the bishop, there always is a checkmate on the second move. Sam Loyd, hope you enjoyed it. Let's go to the second one. This position is from the composer of the name of Mott Smith, and it was published in 1932. White to play and checkmate a black king on the second move. Again, if you want to look for yourself, put the video on pause. White would love to give a discovered attack with the king. Play the king away so that the queen would give check to the black king. Or play b6, b7, but that is against the rules of the game, because then the rook gives check to the white king. So again, when I looked at this position first, I thought, well, let's give a check then. Let's play queen d5 check. Does that work? Why it doesn't? Because black interposes the rook, and whatever white does now, there's no checkmate on the next move. Taking the rook doesn't work because it's protected by the knight. So then I tried queen c5 with the threat of queen c8 checkmate. But then there is rook takes b6 check, and that spoils the fun. Taking a rook is not checkmate because the king will flee to b8. So that doesn't work either. I'll give the solution now. The solution here is to play, very surprisingly, the queen from a5 to e5. What is that? How can that be the solution? Well, the threat is clear. The threat is queen b8 checkmate, so we have to do something against that. And the most obvious thing is to take the queen. Rook takes e5. But then the pin along the 6th rank is no longer there. So b6 to b7 is now checkmate. Deflecting the rook, that is one of the motifs here. What if we play our old reliable rook takes b6 check, which saved us in a previous variation? Well, then knight takes b6 is now checkmate because the queen is on e5 and takes that b8 square away. So another checkmate. Let's try something else after queen e5. What if we play knight c6, protecting the b8 square? Well, now the knight is in the way of the pin over the 6th rank, and b6, b7 is again checkmate. And finally, if after queen e5 we play rook d6, interposing the rook, then we have a checkmate on either e8 or h8 to be complete. This is also checkmate. Very nice variations and a very surprising key move, queen e5. Hope you enjoyed it. Mott Smith, 1932. Let's go to the third and last one. This position was composed by M. Locker, and it won the second prize in a composing tournament in 1966. And this composition really shows how the pieces coordinate, how they work together, as I mentioned at the start of the video. White to play and checkmate the king, the black king on the second move. When I looked at this, I didn't really see what white could do. I tried to play queen g5 to take squares away from the black king, but that doesn't really work. After king d3 there is no checkmate on the second move. Then I tried something else. I tried to give a check with bishop e2, but then the king goes to c5, and again there is no checkmate on the second move. In fact, I could not solve this position, but when I saw the solution I saw how nice it is. The solution, the only move that leads to checkmate on the second move, the key move is bishop f3 to b7. And like in the first composition, zugzwang is a motive here. If black could not make a move, then there is no checkmate on the next move. But black has to make a move and weakens his position that way, so that white can give a checkmate. In fact, black has 4 moves, 4 different moves, and there is a different checkmate on each of those 4 moves, which makes this composition even nicer. Let's look at the different checkmates. If the king goes to c5, then the checkmate move is queen c6. It's the only checkmate move, but it is checkmate. Okay, that's after king c5. What about the other king move that black can make, king d3? Then the checkmate move is bishop a6. And you can see very nice coordination of the 3 white pieces. The knight, the queen and the bishop all take squares away from the black king. And of course black's own pawns also take 2 squares away. That was the second move that black can make. What about the pawn moves? What about d3? Well, then there's also a checkmate move, but only one, and it is queen d5. That is now checkmate. And finally, after bishop b7, black can also play the other pawn, can play c2, and now the only checkmate move is for the queen to take that pawn, and that is checkmate. A little gem of a position, composed by M. Locker in 1966. Hope you enjoyed these compositions. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and please subscribe to the Chess2 Progress channel. Please leave a comment. Hope you tell me if you like this type of video, because I have a lot more where this came from. If you like the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media, and you also may want to check out my Chess2 Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick for Chess2 Progress. Thank you for watching.